Hello and welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Today on the program we have Martin Barre of Jethro Tull fame. That's right. He was with Jethro Tull since the 60s. He has made more than a name of himself for himself. He's a Grammy-winning artist and he's ventured out on his own, done his own music for a number of years as well. But of course, most notable for Aqualung from Jethro Tull. That infamous, famous guitar chord at the beginning of the song. We're going to bring Martin in here in just a moment, but before we do, I'm going to catch you up on a little bit about what's going on in my world. Duck season ended. Very sad that duck hunting season ended, but also kind of happy at the same time. I know that's a weird thing to say because because I enjoy it so much. But man, it was a rough season. My last hunt, I didn't shoot any birds, really, not ducks. I shot coots that are wannabe ducks. I shot 8 of them, with 3 shots. They're dumb as shit, and but that's how my season ended, was shooting coots, which are not tasty. They're plucking the feathers out as even feels gross. They don't smell great. They're dumb. They're not ducks, and so my season didn't end very strong. I had started out the season pretty strong with a limit on opening day and never got another limit of 7 birds again throughout the season. I had some decent hunts and enjoyable hunts for sure, but nothing that hit that level. So that's kind of what was happening there. That's done. I'm getting a breather. I'm gonna get some crabbing in though. Since it's kind of the off season at this point, and the crabbing season's open for a long time. So I'm going to get some of that in, probably some fishing in the coming months as well, and try and just keep busy that way, doing things, getting my dog out when I can. I had a situation this week where I was at the park with my son and I lost my keys. It was not fun. I lost my keys in this big open park where there's a lot of space, and I don't know at what point I lost the keys, to be honest. So I had to leave the car there overnight. We retraced our steps, but we couldn't find them. I left the car there overnight. I went back the next morning and we looked again, put up a couple signs for if people found them. Nothing. I had the car towed to the dealership that wanted to charge me up to $2,700 to have it rekeyed, because guess what? I also didn't have a spare key. Not a good situation to be in, and I didn't think there was any other solution than to take it to the dealer. And so I left it at the dealer. But then I reached out to my brother who runs an auto shop. He has an auto shop of his own, and he gave me a number of someone to reach out to. So I'm like, okay, I'll try this. And that person was a locksmith. And again, I didn't think a locksmith could even do anything without a key to start with. But that's where I was wrong. He was able to create a key for my car in under an hour. And it was, well, maybe just a little over an hour, but he met me at the dealer. I took an Uber over to the dealer. He met me there and then created a key for my car. Just one. He didn't have the parts to create another key at that point. So I still need to get a second key, but I thought ahead at this time, and I put an air tag now on my keys. So if I lose my keys, then at least I'll be able to find them. Most likely with the help of the AirTag. I never thought I'd be in that situation, but it must have fallen out of my pocket at some point. And my son was a mess. My dog was pulling me left and right. Could have happened at any point. We had such a fun evening afternoon at the park until that happened, and then everything became completely crazy. It was not enjoyable. So that was stressful, but it was a 1 day worth of stress versus 2 where the dealer wanted to take the odometer out of the car and send it to New Jersey and take my car somewhere. And I don't know what the hell they were doing, but they were going to have it for 2 weeks. It was completely a mess of a situation. I wasn't about it, but that's enough for now. Martin Barre is here, so we're going to bring Martin on in and talk a little bit of Tull. How about that? Let's bring him on in. How's your day treating you so far, Martin?
It's grey and damp, and I've got a little bit of a head cold. But the good news is that I just sit indoors and play my guitar all day.
Yeah,
So
you can do that when it's gray and damp outside, and with the head cold, you still got your guitar, right?
yeah, who wants to be in the sun drinking wine?
No, no one wants any of that.
No,
That's
yeah,
for the birds.
I've never met anybody.
No, no. Well, I hope you feel better soon. First off, so
Ah,
yeah,
thanks. It's very minor. Let me
yes,
just. That's better. My head's not showing. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're playing your guitar. You have a number of guitars. So I was looking at your website, and you kind of chronologicalize all of your guitars. And so tell me kind of about your collection, and which ones do you just kind of pick up and play versus take out on tour?
Yeah. I mean, it's not really a collection, so to speak, because I play them all. So they're all my sort of working tools, and I don't have a guitar that I actually don't play. Um, but there are some of them, probably would be collectible.
Yeah,
Others just new guitars. So essentially, I play PRS guitars on stage, and I've probably got 15 PRSs that I've got over the years, and they're all sort of a variation on a theme, but they all play great. Three of them are in the States, and I keep a whole backline over there. The cupboard behind me has quite a
yeah,
few in.
yeah,
uh,
yeah. That
but yeah, I've got two very nice guitars. What one's a '63 Fender Strat in sort of pink and beautiful, but it sounds amazing. And then I have a '61 dot neck 335, and again it sounds amazing. So that they're not sort of in a glass case. That I play them. I play them on sessions mainly because I'd like to take them on the road, but I think that would be pushing things a little bit too far. But yeah, but they're all. I buy an instrument, I sell one. There's a turnover all the time because I love. I very often see a guitar that I want to own, but I usually get rid of one, so there's space in the cupboard.
you have to trade it out. You're like, okay, this is what I got room for. This is what I can take. Right?
Yeah, I think it's a fair way of
Not
doing
overdo
it.
it. Yeah. So how many do you usually tour with? So if you got a tour coming up in March, you're coming to the States, and how many will you take on tour for that?
Well, they're already over there. I've got three PRSs, a Fender Strat. I've got three acoustics, a mandolin. But I'll probably bring some of them back. Essentially, I use a Fender Strat, a PRS, and one acoustic guitar, and occasionally mandolin, and I'm playing flute as well. The flute I carry with me because I have my best flute and I take it around the world, and the rest stays in storage over in the States in between tours.
Yeah, and the flute for a number of years, you wouldn't play flute because you didn't want to step on like Ian's toes with that, right? But are
Oh
you?
yeah. Oh, I did.
But okay, but
Oh
you
yeah.
so you yeah so you don't put it down. That you do play the flute live.
I do. Yeah. Oh, I don't mind stepping on people's toes.
Oh, good. Okay, good. That's a good way to be.
Easy.
So do your thing.
Um, yeah, I think in the early days we both I played before Ian even bought a flute. So when I was 14, I was having flute lessons in Birmingham, and so when I met Ian, I was a better flute player than he was. So I've been playing longer, and at first we both played on stage, but the management figured out that that they needed to focus on one flute and one electric guitar. So yeah, so it sort of changed. But then over the years, I'd play on an odd song here and there, so it kept ticking over. But finally, I think it was in lockdown, and I bought myself a very nice alto flute, and I just determined that I was going to, in fact, I was going to do all my grades, and it didn't last long. I got bored with it, but I started playing a lot, and that really triggered, reinvigorated my interest in the flute. So yeah, I play it pretty well every day now.
Yeah. So yeah, school didn't seem to be like the biggest priority for you because you were so invested in your music, right? I mean, did that seem to be the best decision for you to just put it all in on school? I guess I'm thinking about, I have a 13-year-old daughter, right? And
Yeah,
and I don't even know if college is as important now as it was even when I was in college, but like I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like it's more important to find something you're really passionate about
yeah,
and
yeah.
into and just dive into that. And if you need kind of basic schooling, but a 4 year degree, I think isn't as necessary as it used to be. What do you think?
There's lots of ways of looking at it. I mean, there's a backlash in England. So kids that go to the really expensive schools, Eton and Harrow, and then go to Oxford Uni or Cambridge, um, they're not very world wise. So they're not necessarily the best employment potential. So there's a sort of a backlash against that sort of very high, intense learning path. And then there's a lot of kids who just have big personalities, that they've really figured out their life from scratch, and they've got full of confidence, full of personality, and that counts so much. I think so. People really take that into account a lot more, and then it's just people that just have no personality at all. Whatever, it's which way you look at it. But I would be the last person to offer up an opinion, but I would say hedge your bets, because
Yeah.
music's a great hobby, but if you make a living out of it, you're very lucky, and but not because you might not be good enough, but people who are incredibly talented don't necessarily find a way of making it a career. So it's a very weak master. So I would always like to think that everybody has a plan B.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
who am I to talk?
Yeah.
I was lucky. I was very
Yeah.
lucky. Things worked out for me.
Oh yeah, and it's so different now because everybody can be a creator. Everybody can
Mhm.
make music. They can do it from their house on their with their instruments in their MacBook. They can make their music. But so
Yeah,
the world is flooded with it, and that's great in one sense, but also it's that much harder to probably break through uh,
yeah,
and and like you said, make an actual career out of it, right? And
yeah.
make money.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes everything sound very much the same. It's a processed route into music with computers, and I think kids sit in their bedrooms, write songs, and they end up sounding like the people they really like. So they just become a clone of somebody else. And I find it really hard to differentiate between different artists, because it's a sound, and that sound seems to be very universal in how female voices are, and male voices as well, and also the songs. There's obviously the exceptions, but there's a lot of middle ground that just seems that very processed. It doesn't really have character and personality, and that's where it falls flat. So I think it's an industry where you might make a lot of money in a short time, but long term, I don't think it works so much as it used to.
Yeah. How long does it last?
Mm.
Well, one band that has lasted a very long time is Jethro
Yeah.
Tull,
Mhm.
and so you're doing this tour, A Brief History of Tull, and that's kind of on the heels of a little bit of the 50th anniversary tour
Yeah.
that you did. I mean, that to say 50 years of anything is incredible, but
Right.
But tell me kind of when you went to revisit Tull a few years ago for that 50th anniversary tour, when you kind of dove into that, what was that like for you? My understanding is you didn't previously like listen to a lot of Tull music. You would listen to your
Yeah.
own music, but to kind of go back
Mm.
and dive in.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot about Tull's music because I'm on it all.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but it's like a reservoir that's there when I need it or when I want to look at it, and I sort of fell into it because the 50th anniversary wasn't being acknowledged at all. That there was no celebration, there was no plan. The record label had zero um, promotion on such an amazing opportunity. I just thought, you know what, it needs to be recognised because, as you say, 50 years is a long period of time. It needs to be acknowledged. So I thought I'm going to have to do it because nobody else is going to actually do the same project. And it was fun because I always look at different ways of doing it, and I re-recorded all the songs that I wanted to play on the tour. So they ended up sounding a bit different. I mean, that I gave them a new lease of life because I didn't want it to be just a carbon copy, just a pointless exercise in reinventing what's already been and gone. So it was fun. It was exciting. I was working with the girl singers, and they put a new slant on a lot of the songs. We toured it. It was a big success, and then I sort of fell into the next project, which was playing all of Aqualung as a tour.
Yeah.
COVID sort of ripped that apart. So it was meant to be like a very small period of time that I was going to do that tour in, but because it all got cancelled, it ended up being spread over 2-3 years. And I just thought, I'm going to wrap things up by saying, you know what, I'm going to do what I think are the important bits of music in Tull from my perspective, and that will be my signing off of my part of Jethro Tull. So that's what this tour is. The history of Tull is my history of Tull. So it won't be the greatest hits. It won't be the songs that everybody would expect to be chosen. So it's just a different look at what is a huge catalogue.
Yeah. And I love how you say that, because you're saying your history of Tull. You said that nobody's Jethro Tull anymore. It was an entity that's finished, and there's sort of remnants, but this is your history. This is your story. You're part of it, right? So
yeah. I mean, I saw everything from a very different point of view than the fans maybe, or from the record labels or the other people who were in Tull, because I had things that I was involved in. Just a different opinion, and it's no more relevant or important than anybody else's. But I wanted to make it work because I thought there's a lot of music in Tull that's really, really good, but doesn't get played, and it was a risk because it must have backfired, and it hasn't. But
yeah.
it's signing off on things, and then I want to get back into my music. I want to do a new album. So when I come out in 2015, it'll be very much me.
2025. 2025,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
what I said?
You said 2015.
Did I really? That's a
COVID probably got in there a little bit. Time is all wonky after COVID.
That's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Where did those 10 years go?
Where did it go?
Like
I don't know. We know we missed a couple, but
I was almost 10 years younger. So I want to. I've done a lot of Tull, and it's been fun, and the fans like it. But now, after this project, I'll reappraise everything, and I think I'll do a lot more that's focusing on my guitar playing and my music, my songwriting, a lot of instrumental music. I don't know. I don't know where it will go, but I feel it's time to go in that direction.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so when you're planning for a tour like this with a catalog that's as expansive as Jethro Tull's is, like
Mm.
how do you go about kind of determining what songs to kind of take out there? You're doing like a 2 hour set, right? So you got a lot you
Yeah.
got a lot of time, but kind of
Mm.
how do you approach it when you're doing
Um,
that stuff?
I've got a massive list of songs that we can all play. Um, but mainly I ignored that list when I
Yeah.
started this project because I didn't want anything obvious. So I just sort of looked at pieces of music that meant something, and there was the thing that me and Dave Pegg, excuse me, used to play on stage, and I thought people probably won't recognise it, but I want them. The audience has to work as hard as we do because it's not in their face. They're not going to go, oh yeah, yeah, I know that one. That they're going to have to go. That sounds so familiar, but I got no idea what it is. It's a very immersive project. So there's the show start. I mean, everybody knows the set list because of those websites, but
Oh
so
yeah.
there's so the show starts with that.
Yeah.
Now, if you recognise it, maybe you do. You don't. Maybe you don't. But it's a Tull track.
Hmm. Yeah. You get
So you
their
don't
attention
know.
right off the bat. No, no,
I
which
like
one is that?
no, I like the fact you don't know it because it's making you work and
It's making
think.
me work. It's one
They
of those. It's
probably are
exactly
not.
what you said though, because it's like
Yeah,
it's so familiar, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but I'm not pulling it right off the bat.
Look into the sun. And
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yes.
yeah, yeah, and
It's,
I've made it. It's just a solo piece, so I go out and play it on acoustic. And but I like the fact that people are going. You can almost hear the straw thing going like in a western. Like,
yeah.
what's going on?
The
What's happening?
tumbleweed gone. Yeah.
Yeah, oh no, this is so nerve wracking. Yeah, it creates a tension, and I quite like that. I
Yeah.
just think it makes everybody part of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. That's brilliant. And so I imagine you play some from Stand Up, which is the first album that you joined Toll with, right? So
Yeah,
you're dive into that a little bit. Um,
yeah, everything's represented, but not always the signature tracks. So I think stand up we do. I mean, that we did Nothing Is Easy, and yeah, we do quite a few actually. But, so we do that, and we used to know. It's just that I've never played it. Since the 70s,
yeah.
and it was our encore in '69. That was our encore. That was the big show ending number. But then it disappeared into the mist. It's deserves to have a little listen again. There's so much stuff. Oh, we do health benefit. that's called Society. And again, it hasn't been played for a long, long time, but I always loved playing it when it was written and when we were touring the benefit album. I just thought, you know what, it's not obvious, but people are going to wonder what it is. But I think the fact that they realise that it's something really brought to the fore, they'll appreciate, and they do. So there's a lot of, everything's different.
And I'm sure for you, it brings back memories, you know, especially those encores that you had back in the '70s, and like
Yeah.
coming out and like people just like getting super excited when you play those songs, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but when you look at the shows, the early shows that, you know, well, thing about we used to know, or I think Wind Up used to be our encore, but in today's world that wouldn't work at all. It's not big enough. So you get into this sort of habit of trying to make it a bigger show, a bigger ending. And then I think for a very brief time we did an ending where it went to zero. So it went like from a real high, it went like whisper quiet, thank you, we're off. And but yeah, you try everything. So it's the pacing of shows a work of art. It's the most difficult part of putting the show together is actually pacing it and make it the dynamics work.
Yeah, you don't want to end on that quiet note because that leaves them, you know, being like, okay, wait, is it over? Are we done? You know, we need something, you know,
Yeah, it's got to
rocket.
be pretty in your face, and
Yeah,
everybody wants that sort of ending. They go, yeah, this is the end. Yeah, we can go home now, but it's fine. You know, good. We've got what we came for. Yeah, you've got to pretty well make it obvious, I think.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so after the '70s, 1980, something that was interesting to me, a album, that album like was like you saw a lot of Tull depart,
Yeah.
but Ian wanted to keep you around. Tell me kind of about that dynamic and how it changed after and through the process of that album.
Yeah, the A album was going to be Ian's solo album, and that was the whole idea behind it. But he, if you like, he made a mistake of asking me to play on it. So when the record company heard the finished result, well, they're saying, well, you know, it's Ian and Martin, it's a Tull album, and they persuaded us to release it as a Tull album, but it was never meant to be. It was meant to be a sort of departure. I think Tull was in a tired period musically, and Ian wanted to change things. I think we all you all come to this little hiccup in life where something has to change, something has to move on. That's where we were, but we had because we had Eddie Jobson and Mark Cranley and Dave Pegg had joined. It was a very fresh new band, and Eddie brought so much musicality to the table, and it worked. It refreshed everybody. We suddenly had to go up a gear to keep up with the guy because you know who's writing. We do. Um, we do that in the show. Oh, and there's good songs in there, but you know, it stretched us musically. It stretched us because we had, as I say, we had to keep up with Eddie and his sort of virtuoso keyboard playing. So he'd come up with a part, and he'd go, right, Martin, you double that up on guitar. And I'm like, but it's great. You know, sometimes you need a kick up the butt,
Yeah,
slap on
yeah.
the face.
You need it sometimes, and so the record company obviously pushed for it to be a Tull album. Did you see it as a Tull album, or did you see it as
Yeah,
something completely different at the time?
I mean, essentially, it brought to the table the fact that Tull was me and Ian.
Yeah,
And I didn't think that at the time, you know. I was just happy to play music, learn music, record albums, go on tour. You know, you could call it anything. You know, you could call it the debonaires, but I would enjoy it just, you know, just as much. I just love playing music. So the way you market it never interested me. But in retrospect, it established that me and Ian playing together was what defined Tull.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was kind of like probably a turning point for you. I mean, for the decades to come as well, just that it was like, no matter the rest of the band, I mean, it was absolutely you and Ian for Tull. And it was this kind of this bond, this kind of venture that you were on together, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think we never knew what was going to happen. You know, we could fall out tomorrow, but I don't know. You never thought about it. I just think we were so. I don't want to use the word professional because that sounds quite stale and antiseptic, but we were just so perfectionist as music entertainers, you know, not as musicians, because there's 1,000 better players than
Yeah.
us. um, but yeah, we just did. We had the same standards, and we wanted to push ourselves. We loved entertaining. We loved playing music. We loved writing. We loved arranging. I mean, we're exactly on the same level across the board, and it worked. It worked for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to ask you about a couple of tours because you've had an opportunity to tour with some amazing artists as well, some legendary artists. I mean, did you Hendrix is one that stands out. Did you ever have
Mhm.
like a moment with Jimmy where, I mean, where you just had a conversation while you were playing with him? I know you played with him in Scandinavia and some other places. Did
Yeah,
did you have a moment with Jimmy?
yeah, yeah, and they were precious. I didn't know it at the time, but obviously that they, in retrospect, they were very precious, and just a humble person, and he taught me more about how to behave as a person or as a sort of mega. Not that I was ever going to be the same, but it was quite educational to see how somebody behaved on his level. He was just humble and gracious, and um, he just wanted to embrace everybody around him, and he helped me. You know, as first gig I did with a sort of superstar band. I, I'd been hidden away for years, and he just made it amazing. You know, it was such a wonderful thing to happen, and he was perfect because he just embraced me as a struggling musician, you know, but being nervous and not knowing what to do. Is I have a lot of admiration.
Yeah, yeah. And Zeppelin, did you have
Yeah,
any like what were the memories from that? I mean, something that stood
yeah.
out from your time
I
with
think
Zeppelin.
the same sort of thing. You know, we were going down the same road that they were huge. I mean, whatever level we were at, that they were a few or many steps ahead. So we started off being their support band, and then we sort of leapfrogged from doing that into doing our own tours. But again, you know, they were just normal people doing a job that's anything other than normal. But when you're backstage and you're tuning your guitars up and you're changing your strings and you're having a beer or a cup of coffee, you're just normal. You had to
Yeah,
be normal, and they were. They're just good people. They're nice people, and they still are.
yeah. Um, Tell me, like back in the day, did you tour around the Bay Area? Did you play shows in San Francisco a decent
Yeah.
amount?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I,
I've got a collection of Fillmore West
Fillmore,
posters.
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Tell me about it. That's my favorite venue of all time. So, like, I mean,
yeah, yeah.
tell me about your experiences there.
I mean, I wouldn't say they were amazing. I think Fillmore East had a more atmospheric. It just it had that essence of being somewhere really special to play. Fillmore West was a bit of uh, um, you're sort of really in at the deep end. It's a huge crowd, all the crazy people. It was different. San Francisco was a very different place to play in and to visit. But yeah, I mean, they're all memories, and it'd be very negative to say that one place was less than another place was, because they all had something that brought experience to me and to the band. But I loved the area. I mean, I fell in love with San Francisco, as everybody did, because it was our first American tour, and we'd been New York, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, Seattle,
Yeah.
kind of remember where else. So we'd been, and it was in the winter. So we've been around all these places. I mean, it's all exciting. But then we landed in San Francisco, and the sun was out, and it's a blue sky, and so it's full of flowers and hippies and beautiful people, and you embrace that, and it was really fantastic. It was a wonderful. I was lucky to experience it when I did.
Yeah. Did you ever play Red Rocks?
Oh yeah,
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 I'm sure. Yeah. And
yeah,
that place is, I mean, for a long time, right? I've talked to so many bands like, and they tell me like about how magical that place is. And I was like, okay, I
yeah.
just
It
have to,
is. It
a
is.
couple years back, right before COVID, I went out there and went for the first time. And I think I'm going to go back this year probably, but I mean, it's just what an incredible venue that is, right?
It really is. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and I always try and immerse myself in where I am, geographically. I like to see a lot of the place that I'm in. Yeah, because to me, travel, the experience of travel is part of what we do. It's part of
Yeah.
the pleasure of being in a band. But yeah, Red Rocks was always special.
Yeah. Um, how long were you, when did you start really running? Because you've run
Oh
marathons,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
kind of envy you for that, because I had a stint where I mean I was running a lot, and I actually ran every street in Napa, California, over the course of 3 months. But I never got up to a marathon because I would run too fast and I couldn't pace myself really well. So like
yeah, yeah.
tell me about your kind of work with running marathons.
It, it's a big deal, but it's no big deal,
Yeah.
because there's both ends, and I've done marathons, and then had a lot of friends who I was running with, and one of them got me to run 6 minute miles,
Yeah.
and it killed me. I mean, I thought I was going to die,
Yeah.
and we ran 3 miles, and I was doing marathons at the time, but it's a different discipline. I love jogging. I used to run, so it was a serious pace, and took everything quite over the top. Half marathons. But now I'm like a fast tourist. So and I love it. I love it. In fact, today I was looking at hotels in the Napa region, because I think we get a day off
Yeah.
after the gig. I'm looking for where the trails are, so that
Yeah.
we stay in a hotel that's near a trail. Yeah, I love the fact that wherever you are in the world, you can find something that's really beautiful, and easier where you are, but
Yeah.
harder if you're in Curitiba in South America, or in um, uh, some Eastern European industrial town. But there'll be somewhere, there'll be a park or a river, and that's where you'll find other people running, and you go, okay, I found the best thing in this town. It's an important part of what I do, and I just it's my way of embracing where I am.
Yeah. I like that you planned that ahead of time too. You're already looking out for
Oh yeah,
trails in Napa and everything. Like,
yeah,
Westwood Hills Park is very nice in Napa. It's
Yeah,
like a mile and a half loop, but you hike to the top and you can see the whole town and everything.
yeah, yeah.
It's really nice. So
I've
that
been
would
to
be my
Napa before, but as a tourist, yeah,
yeah.
I loved
M-
it. I loved it to bits.
Yeah. Are you a big wine drinker?
I like wine, yeah, and we did it. We visited a couple of vineyards. Yeah, I do, and I love Russian River, Sonoma Valley Chardonnays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you
Yeah.
go. I'm
Huh.
perfectly geographically placed to sample some more. Yeah, I do, and I don't know a lot, but I know that Russian River is my favourite wine growing area in the world.
Yeah. And they make good beer too. The Russian River Brewing Company
But
is.
I'm gluten free, so I don't
Oh,
drink.
okay. Huh.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, I grew up in Napa, but but it's different when you grow up in it. I'm not as
Yeah,
much
I'm
of
sure.
a wine drinker. It's just Napa to me. But then getting to see the
Yeah,
town grow and everything has been incredible because when I grew up, Martin, there were no music venues to be able to see concerts or anything, and
all right.
now
Yeah,
and now they have those, and they have huge festival that goes there every summer, that's there every summer, Bottle Rock with some of the biggest bands and everything. And it's just like, this is in pretty much in your backyard. It's crazy to see
yeah.
how time will change things
Well,
like that.
yeah. I mean, I love the fact that people do that. That they find just a beautiful place, and they figure that we'll do a festival here, and people are going to come from an hour, 2 hours drive or a flight, and they will come because there's somewhere beautiful. They can stay for a few days. They can experience the other things that are on offer. It's yeah, that's my sort of place to be. But when I knew about Napa before I even came there, so it was quite nice to have a knowledge of it and then see it firsthand.
Yeah. And so your new, do you have a lot of songs ready for your new album that you're planning? Do you have a lot of things
Well,
in the works,
yeah,
or is that something you're going to get
but
to?
yeah, in lockdown, I wrote a lot of music, and uh, and I haven't heard it since I wrote it. So, so I know that when I pigeonhole a period to record a new album, say at the end of this year,
Yeah.
maybe, I know that rather than go back and listen to what I was doing 2 years ago, I'd just start from zero
Yeah.
because I love the process of having a blank piece of paper, a pencil, and a guitar. Go
Yeah.
right now, and I love it. I just love the fact that you're in. It's one of the most pleasurable things in music is to write, arrange, and see that whole process from beginning to end.
Yeah. Have you thought about writing a book?
Well, I have, and I've got a friend who's sort of co-writing it with me. But I don't know. I'm at a stage in my life where I'm trying to live less with a life with Tull in it, and more a
Yeah.
life with me in it,
Yeah.
and that's making it a little bit difficult. Um, there's a lot of things that weren't fun, weren't pleasant, and I sort of put those to the back of my brain, and I don't particularly want to resurrect them. I'm in a very happy place
Yeah.
as a musician and as a person because I have independence and I've really focused on all the things I love about music. I don't have any outside influences. Other than the fact I have to keep a band working and make a living, but that's all part of what I do. Yeah, I'm not one to look back, and it's a novelty for a time, and then it becomes a bit tedious. And in many ways, it's a lot easier for somebody outside to do it completely independently.
Yeah.
And they're going to make mistakes. There's things that they don't know what really happened. There's stories that they've never heard. there's stories that they've heard that won't be true. But I don't know. It's nostalgia's not always a great place to be.
I can feel that, and I can honestly kind of relate. So I'm glad you're kind of saying that. I mean, recently I've kind of lost a friendship with my best friend of 20 years, and so I know kind of what um, you know. I know what you're saying there with that, right? I mean, and 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 so I wonder if it's kind of like if there's in revisiting some of this Toll stuff, is there any pain involved in that for you,
Yes.
or is
Oh
it
yeah.
therapeutic to in a sense too?
Yeah. It's not therapeutic to bring it up again.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of pain, but I don't need to bring it up. I've dealt with it in my own way, and yeah, I'm just happier not talking about it, not thinking about it. There are bad things, whatever you do. If you work for the engineering company around the corner, you're going to have bad memories as well as good memories, and it's human nature to put the bad memories to bed, remember the good things, and move on. And yeah, I think that's what I want to do. I'm more interested in the next 10 years, if I've got 10, and hopefully a few more. I mean, that's my total interest is in that. What's gone, it's written in sort of music history, and I acknowledge it, and I know it's an important part of music. Tull's history is, in its own way, in its own little niche, is important, and I respect it, and I'll always be. I've got information, I've got anecdotes, I've got whatever, but it's not in my world that's not my primary concern.
yeah. No, that's great, and to have been able to do it for this long, I mean, is such a so remarkable and so rare. And like, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it is, and it isn't. It's. Um, I just think once you take if you're responsible, mature, and have a great work ethic, essentially you should be able to work with people for an infinite period of time. It's only when egos and personalities and sort of the negative things in people come into play that interrupts that flow. And I like to think bands like Count Basie, um, Duke Ellington, all these old bands that they probably, they've all been together for or were for crazy amount of years and never gave it a thought, just because
Yeah,
it was so. What they did was so established, and they knew their job, they knew how to do it incredibly well. End of story.
yeah,
You don't need an ego. You just do your job and enjoy. If you love your job and you're good at it, you don't need somebody to tell you. You're confident, and that's where you get your reward. So it's I never see the problem. I think people's personalities, they're fickle. People can be fickle, and as soon as that comes into play, things fall apart.
yeah. At what point did you know that this is what you wanted to do for your life? Was it when you were really young? Was it joining Tull? Was there something, or did that point never really come?
I don't think it ever did, because it was every year was you were faced with the thought that it could be the last year that you could do it for a living. Um, that there was no guarantee as to what was going to happen the year after or the year after that. So, um, I mean, maybe nowadays that there's so much money involved, you can think, an artist has made so many millions that they're safe for another 5 years. So
Yeah.
let's plan ahead. I've always been planning the next year. So next year I'm planning it. The year after that, I don't know. I don't know. My fingers might drop off. I really don't know. But that's the way I've always been. I never
Yeah.
thought that music owes me a career. But I'm really thankful that it has been a career, and I enjoy every year like it's the first one.
And do you have fans that have come up to you at a show and told you like that they've been listening to your music since the 60s and that sort of thing, like and how it's impacted them, and bringing their kids and maybe even grandkids into your music? Like, have those
Oh,
experiences happen fairly
absolutely,
often?
absolutely, yeah, and it's fantastic, yeah, because
Yeah.
they're not buttering you up. It's a fact. There they are. There's the generations, and they're looking at you and they're smiling. You can't fake it. It's a lovely feeling. I mean, it's wonderful, and never take it for granted. But when it's there, I'm very respectful of it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Martin, do you want to close us out with a song, maybe?
I don't
Yeah.
do songs. I can't sing.
Oh, okay. Do you want to play a little something on the guitar to
Yeah,
close us
play one
out?
little
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and I usually.
Yeah.
That's a tune. I
It's a
probably should
tune.
have been tune at the beginning of the interview. There you go. This is a practice guitar, so it's a very short scale. That's
Yeah.
my. But
Is that the one you usually use when you're at home?
no,
Just
no.
no.
I opened the cupboard door, and it looked at me and said, "It's about time you played me." I went,
I call
"Okay,
that. I'm not. Who
don't
am I
give
to
me
argue?
don't give me a hard time."
Yeah. How much do you play a day at this point? Like how?
Well, 2 hours minimum,
Yeah.
but I always have. When I go, we had a weekend break in Rome because we hadn't been anywhere for months and months, and it. I mean, literally, we just walked and enjoyed the culture. It was beautiful, but I had a guitar
Yeah.
in the room, so I take it on holiday. I have a guitar everywhere I go.
Yeah. You don't leave without it, right? Like you got to have one.
Don't leave home without one, and yeah. So I just and I don't. It's not because I need to rehearse or need to practice, and I probably do. I just love playing. If I've got 5 minutes with nothing going on, I play.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
It's.
I do.
I mean, it's what you do. It's beautiful, and I'm glad you're still doing it, and I'm glad you're bringing the tour here to the States and to the Bay Area as well. You're playing Napa, Sacramento, Oakland. Lots of
Yeah,
spots around here, which is really awesome. So I hope
yeah.
to.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Really
good to
am.
see it.
So,
Yeah.
what's the weather like in Napa?
Oh, I mean, it's nice. I mean, right now it's a little bit rain. We got a little rain here and there, but
Okay.
but I mean, we pay dearly for the weather here, so it's never too bad. I and we have the rest of the country will have their atmospheric freezes and whatever is going on
Yeah,
there, but
yeah,
but we get a little bit of rain and it's like everything's going crazy, right? No,
yeah,
it's
yeah. Okay.
it's nice. You'll enjoy your time.
I think I will.
You'll get out for a good hike too, I'm sure. So.
I will. I'll make sure I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Well, Martin, thank you for taking the time
You're
and for sharing your music as well and your story. I mean, it's
very
beautiful,
welcome.
and I hope the book comes together really well. I know you're not putting a
Yeah,
lot
I've got to
into it, but
finish it because I started it.
you
So
got to
it's a
finish it.
big
Yeah.
pile of pages and it just needs the rest. I mean, I've got to do it, but yeah, I've just got to be determined.
Make the
Cool.
time. It's all a matter of what we do with our time. You're playing music, and that makes you happy. That's what's important. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, you have a good evening then, and
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, Yeah, we'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, Steve. Thank you very much.
That was the interview with Martin Barre here on Concert Pipeline. And that takes us to the final segment on the program, the music news. Oh, it's just so much fun talking to Martin Barre again. I had him on the program a couple years back, and he's just so much fun to chat with, and it's great to get lost in his music. And he's such a great guitar player. It's awesome. Definitely recommend checking out his shows when he comes to the area. That's March 17th at the Blue Note in Napa, March 19th at Harlow's in Sacramento, and then March 20th at Yoshi's in Oakland. So check those shows out. All right, I got a couple of stories here to wind out the program in the music news. Darius Rucker from Hootie and the Blowfish. He was arrested on misdemeanor drug charges in Tennessee. Um, he was just on Rob Lowe's podcast. I listened to that like last week or the week before, and they had a really good conversation. But he had three misdemeanor charges on February 1st. And let's see, he's known, of course, for his country music at this point, but just part of Hootie and the Blowfish. Let's see what happened here. He received a third misdemeanor charge. He was booked on two misdemeanor charges for simple possession and casual exchange of a controlled substance. And he received a third misdemeanor charge of a violation of Tennessee's vehicle registration law for expired tags on his vehicle. Wow. Okay, that's surprising. They'll give you a misdemeanor for expired tags on your vehicle. He was brought into jail around 10 a.m. on Thursday, and then was released about an hour later on bond. And he's recently had a hit collaboration with the artist Dax on their song "To Be a Man," which reached #3 on Billboards in November. So I don't think this will be too much for him, hopefully. Hopefully it won't tarnish him too much and he makes it through okay. Boy Genius has reportedly announced their hiatus at a secret show. They said they're going away for the foreseeable future. They had an acoustic show in Los Angeles. That's Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, and Julian Baker. They made the announcement during a pair of secret acoustic gigs on February 1st. And they have yet to confirm their hiatus on social media. They told the audience that they're going away for the foreseeable future. And there's the video footage of the announcement, but it has not been shared on public media at this point. So it's all just talk. It's very fresh. But that stuff has a way of getting out, right? Okay, Billy Joel making new music for the first time in nearly 20 years. Turn the lights back on, which is apparently what he did with his music. It comes ahead of his Grammys performance, which has happened this past weekend, and it's his first new single in nearly 2 decades, produced by Freddie Wexler, who's also produced Bieber, Celine Dion, Kanye, Selena Gomez, and it was written by Billy Joel and Wexler and Wayne Hector. And it's a love ballad that doubles as a love letter to fans who have waited for the Piano Man singer to release new music. No one's really needed him to, because he's touring and playing stadiums, and he's doing all right for himself. But it's great to hear an artist that's not afraid to do something new when there's been so much time. And obviously, his career at this point is not based on anything new. It's all based on his material from over the years that has given him a name. And his lyrics say, "I'm late, but I'm here right now. Though I used to be romantic, I forgot somehow. Time can make you blind, but I see you now as we're laying in the darkness. Did I wait too long to turn the lights back on?" He sings in the chorus, acknowledging it's taken him how long it's taken him to get back into songwriting. So maybe there's more music on the future. Hard to say. Paramore did a cover of the Talking Heads' "Burning Down the House," and that came after the band were rumored to be breaking up. Well, they've had those rumors before in years past, but I think the paychecks are probably too good for them to break up. Hayley Williams has a career of her own, of course, but their music as Paramore keeps them very relevant. But the track looks to appear in an upcoming tribute album around the band's iconic Stop Making Sense concert film, which was recently reissued for its 40th anniversary. Hayley Williams collects a package that was delivered to her house in a teaser clip, and when she opens it, she finds Talking Head frontman David Byrne's iconic oversized suit, which he famously wore in Stop Making Sense. Cover is largely faithful recreation of one of the band's biggest hits, and you can listen to it online as well. So, and as for whether Paramore will make it, hard to say. Don't know. All right, one more story before we wind out the program here, and it is Kate Hudson. And you're like, Kate Hudson making music? I'm not so sure about that. But she has a debut single. It's called Talk About Love. You can listen to that online, and there's a lyric video as well. She's an actress turned singer. This is her first single, finally dropped after weeks of anticipation from fans, providing a burst of blended rock and pop sound for listeners to enjoy. And the song was co-written by Linda Perry and Hudson's fiance, Danny Fujiwaka. Fujiwaka, sorry, I think is his name. And she celebrates having a love connection on the deepest level possible while belting out vocals over columns of synth, guitars, and a jumping rhythm track guaranteed to raise the mood. She says, "You only have one first single, and I wanted it to be something delicious and sexy and all the things that I believe in. I wanted it to be open and searching to find something powerful, but I also wanted the music to be the rock, the pop, the dance music, and even a little bit of the alternative records I love," she continued. "It was a lot to put into one song, but thankfully I had some wonderful people working with me, and so here we are." And maybe there will be more music on the horizon. I listened to the song. It's all right. It's not really my cup of tea, but I love Kate Hudson in Almost Famous, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And Kate Hudson as Penny Lane is incredible. She did that role so well as a Band-Aid for the band from that movie, and it was an incredible performance. She obviously has had big shoes to fill from her parents, who are also very notable actors, but she made her mark, and I think that's her probably the best work of all time. So, I'll give her music a chance. I would possibly be open to seeing her live. I don't know. I'd have to listen to more of the music, but she said in a video, "I have always had a room for my piano ever since I began living on my own." And so she's apparently playing the piano a bit too. She's been writing a lot of music, and she wanted to start putting it out. And of course, she's aware of the impact of her character that she portrays as Penny Lane also. So that is Kate Hudson. All right, that is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Martin Barre from Jethro Tull for joining as well. It was really great to catch up with him. Don't have anything lined up right now for the next episode, so it might be just a couple weeks. But for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.